On Friday, Vice President Harris traveled to the southern border where she attacked Trump for his role in preventing a congressional border deal. But it didn't look good that during her speech, 30 migrants snuck in behind her. And even worse, she handed every one of them a voter registration form.
Wow. Saturday Night Live making fun of Kamala Harris giving voter registration cards to swarms of illegal aliens sauntering in behind her during her fake phony baloney photo op at the border. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Did you see the Democrats have hanged a giant effigy of President Trump naked outside of Las Vegas, Nevada? It's a 43-foot tall, 6,000-pound Trump effigy, naked. They're really obsessed with Trump naked, aren't they? They've got a lot of sexual issues, the Democrats do. And it's being hanged up by a crane. According to this report, it cost $550,000. More than $500,000 for Democrats listening along. You got to translate for the, because $550,000, it's more than $500,000. They'd say it is, because and the debt is $35 trillion. It's what? Pay no attention to that. And if we started paying it off today at $1 a second, the national debt, $35 trillion, $1 a second, that'd take more than 1 million years, because 35 trillion seconds is more than 1 million years, Earth time, for the Democrats, many of whom are from another galaxy far, far away. So here it is on X. Political violence is the headline. Video of the $550,000, 43-foot tall, 6,000-pound Trump effigy in Nevada. Who paid for it? Was their goal to further divide us? Invite violence? Well, the Democrat Party loves violence. They're the left. They're not liberals. They're the left. Amazing stuff. So it's just great stuff. And the Democrats, they've got a lot of sexual issues, a great many sexual issues for the Democrats, no doubt about it. I was sharing the remarkable story out of the Harvard University Kennedy School of Government. They have a school of government there. Can you believe it? Is it really all about abusing women? There is an amazing article today. I don't know if I'm going to have time to get to it, but it's remarkable. We should share the article. Daily Mail article on the sexual aggressions of the Kennedy family, going back not only to John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy Sr., and it starts with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and this reporter Olivia Nuzzi, and the sexual tension going on there. Let's say remarkable stuff. Olivia. Her engagement was broken off, am I right, to her reporter boyfriend. They're now exes. They're no longer. But a remarkable story on the sexual abuses that go back to John F. Kennedy's father, right? Big Joe Kennedy, the organized criminal who earned all the money that they're still living off of in the Kennedy family. Behind every great Democrat fortune, there is a great crime. That's what they say. The Democrats, behind every Democrat fortune, there's a crime. Behind every great Democrat fortune, there's a great crime. And the Kennedy family certainly demonstrates that. And Joseph P. Kennedy Sr., the bootlegger and smuggler criminal who gathered up all the wealth that the Kennedy family continues to live off this day. And he was a sexual abuser. And John F. Kennedy, of course, a sexual abuser. Bobby Kennedy, not exactly a clean slate. And his marital history, let's say. And then Ted Kennedy, well, we know about Mary Jo Kopechne, who he killed, left her upside down in that car, then went to brunch. Remember that? That's a thing. Yeah, so a fascinating story. I tell you what, we'll put that story out on our social media, Remarkable stuff. Where is it? I know I've got it here. It's here somewheres. Where is it? It's right here. Yeah, we'll put this story out because even though I may not have time to get to all of it, I want to share the article with you. So take a look for that soon. And let me see. I was just talking about the Harvard study, which is in Axios, that the share of young American men, they leave out women because they're sexist, who say they identify with select political ideologies. And among 18 to 24-year-olds, 22% identify as liberal and 26% identify as conservative. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. Quite remarkable. The 18 to 24-year-olds. And then the 25 to 29-year-olds, actually more of them identify as liberal as conservative than as conservative, but 18 to 24-year-olds more now identify as conservative than identify as liberal. And that's a lot of fun. It definitely is. And I have a friend who's traveling with her family people. They're in Vermont now, for several days, staying at an inn. And my friend Maureen, from a great Republican family, great conservative woman with a great conservative husband, and she says every guest at the inn in Vermont was a Trump supporter. Every guest at the inn in Vermont, and as she says, in Vermont, all capital letters. Isn't that amazing? We were surprised. And the innkeeper was very much on our team as well. Is in Vermont. How can that be? That doesn't make any sense. And now among 18 to 24-year-olds, 26% identify as conservative and only 22% identify as liberal. Isn't that amazing? So the worm, as the Democrats like to say, may be turning on our great culture, our great civilization. We may be saved by the next generation. Maybe they're not going to college. Maybe that's it. But one of the things that is noted in this Axios story, which also says that, among women, the younger group is more conservative by 3 points. And, pretty amazing stuff. Among men, it's 4 points. Among women, it's 3 points. So pretty darn close. And isn't that amazing? But a lot of people just say, don't ask me those questions because I don't want to answer. Amazing stuff. And they incidentally and accidentally admit that there are two genders. There are men and there are women. And then they refer to both genders, which is anti-Democrat Party. Isn't that amazing? Yes, sir. The youngest members of that group were just 10 years old when Trump was elected president. Isn't that amazing? And the left-wing radicals at Axios say that the younger group, only 10 years old when President Trump was elected, and see this chaotic political era as normal. You mean all the riots of you guys burning cities and overturning police cars like it's the 1968 Democratic Convention in Chicago every day? And your insane Jew hatred, anti-Semitism, pro-Hamas, pro-Hezbollah, venomous lunacy. They see that as normal. They think that every Nacht is Kristallnacht, because they may not know what Kristallnacht is, but maybe now they'll go look it up. Isn't that great? They think of Trump as an anti-hero and not a villain. I think it's less about policy and much more about personality, said the head of the Harvard Kennedy School polling outfit. And, I know a lot of people. I was having a conversation with somebody over the weekend about Trump being the anti-hero, which is a cool thing to be, like Steve McQueen, anti-hero. I don't think we have any Steve McQueens today, do we? We've got, what do we have? Like Clooney, who's a radical left-wing creep who flies on a Gulfstream jet and lectures people about driving four-cylinder cars, one of those Democrats. Just amazing stuff. Another limousine liberal, Gulfstream Guevara. I like Gulfstream Guevara. It's a label of my own creation. They fly on Gulfstream jets made in Georgia. Thank you very much. You're welcome. By the patriarchy. You're welcome again. If you like electricity, thank the patriarchy. if you like flying on airplanes, thank the patriarchy. The Democrat Party is anti-patriarchy. But they're pro-sexual assault, and they're pro-illegal alien gang members, and just amazing. Your Democrat Party, they are not the good guys. Not the good guys. Man, oh, man. And the troglodytes. All right, now let's get to some stuff. Let's get to Kamala Harris is apparently the vice president of the United States, but she can't do anything until she's elected president about securing the border, about illegal alien gang members. She can't do anything to make matters better in the United States unless she's elected president of the United States. Because vice president, and where's Joe Biden? His brain, she's a broke. She's a no good, that brain of his. And he had a couple of idiot moments over the weekend, and I've got them for you. What was it now? He was asked about one thing, and he gave an answer that was just completely disconnected from reality. Have you heard that one? Now, we're standing by today for a union strike, the Longshoremen's Union, which has, like if you ever seen the classic movie On the Waterfront, right? On the Waterfront is a great classic. And it's about mafia involvement with the waterfront unions in the 1950s. Marlon Brando, Charlie, you're my brother. You're supposed to look out for me just a little bit. Could have been somebody instead of a bum, which is what I am, all that good stuff. Well, now the Democrats, they're in bed with all the unions because of the money and the organizational talents and capabilities that the unions bring, right? But we're looking at a longshoreman strike, longshoreman unions, dock workers strike that could shut down the ports from Texas to Massachusetts on the Gulf Coast and the East Coast of the United States. And I mean Houston, New Orleans, Mobile, Tampa, Miami, Jacksonville, Savannah, Charleston, Wilmington, Norfolk, Baltimore, Wilmington, Delaware, Wilmington, North Carolina, Philadelphia, New York, Boston, and all these ports just, bam, could shut down tonight at midnight. And Joe Biden and the Democrats, Kamala Harris, are not lifting a finger to do anything about it. They're nowhere to be found. But Joe Biden was asked yesterday about the Israeli strikes hitting the Houthi rebels funded by the Iranians in Yemen, the Houthi rebels in Yemen firing missiles at American warships just last week, multiple. And if this shuts down the supply chain, we're going to be out of everything, grocery stores, automobiles. You won't be able to buy anything in about a week. It'll cost us $5 billion a day, which starts to add up pretty quickly. Joe Biden was asked about this yesterday. What about the strikes in Yemen against the Houthi rebels? And Clueless Joe responded with this.
Any comment on the strikes in Yemen, Mr. President?
The strikes in Yemen.
Both sides have got to settle the strike. Support the collective bargaining effort. I think they'll settle the strike.
I'm sorry, not the longshoremen's strike, the military strikes in Yemen. And he gave an answer about the possible longshoreman strike in the United States of America because he has no idea what he's talking about at any given time because his brain, she's a broke. His brain, she's a no good. Boy, is his brain no good. But that's okay. What a dimwit. And all of the news media, they've got glowing headlines about it. All right? President Biden says all-out war in the Middle East has to be avoided. No, that's not what he said. He was asked about this, and he answered some question that had not been asked because he is mentally incapacitated. He's beep. But our news media, the most corrupt institution in America, they don't tell you what he said. They're like, oh, well, it was loud. The sound of the airplane was, and he couldn't hear because, give him a break. He's already stepped down. They've been lying to us about Joe Biden for not just for years, for decades, but for the last several years, they've been lying their pants off, haven't they? You know that the best-selling Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier uses Oxy technology that helps to quickly destroy a whole lot of different viruses, odors, mold spores, and a whole lot more floating in the air in your home, in your office. Thousands of 5-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet. You know it works like a champ. My best girl and I have 2 of them at home. In fact, we just got a 3rd one in the mail last week, now that I mention it. Any smell will vanish in just a few seconds with the thunderstorm being on. From trash cans, cigarette smoke, your mother-in-law's cooking, a whole lot more, no match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm, because the powerful thunderstorm sends out O3 molecules that seek out and help destroy odors. These molecules even go behind and underneath furniture. Nothing can hide from the thunderstorm. And you don't have to buy filters over and over again. Mark your calendar, mail away from, go to Home Depot. No, sir, no filters for these babies. And you can hold one in your hand. I'm holding my hand up like this. You can hold one in your hand like this. It's not a giant piece of furniture. So it's no hassle of replacing the filters on a timeline. And right now, you can save $200 American on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. You're going to get 3 units for under $200. Put one in your teenager's room, in your kitchen, in your basement, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code CHRIS3, Chris and the number 3, CHRIS and the number 3 to save $200 American. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS3. Bow, bow, bow. Yeah, Joe Biden. I've got Kamala for you. I've got Donald Trump for you. Got war and mayhem in the Middle East. The Democrats are with another lynching of Donald Trump in effigy. This a gigantic naked one in the desert in Nevada. They've got a lot of sexual issues, these people. All right, let's go very quickly to the phones. Let's go to Gene, calling from Youngstown, Ohio. Gino, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, good morning, Chris. It's a pleasure to talk with you. I'm getting mentally prepared and physically prepared to go back to Butler, Pennsylvania to see Donald Trump complete the rally that he started on July 13th. He'll be there Saturday, October 5th, and I'm looking forward to it. And I really think there's going to be even more people because we don't back down, Chris, you know? We don't back down, like the song says, whether it be Tom Petty singing it or Jason Aldean, or now even Lara Trump has a couple versions of We Won't Back Down. You know, I didn't know she was a singer, but she's got an album out. So.
Multi-talented woman, no doubt about that. Well, I'll expect a full report from you afterward. Yeah, I guess we're preparing to put this article out in the Daily Mail, The Ugly Truth About the Kennedy Dynasty and the Litany of Women Who Have Been Destroyed at Their Hands. And don't drive across any bridges with them, of course, you know. And we will share that article with you on our so-called social media. You know that social media isn't, right? Like friendly fire. All right, let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Alyssa, calling from Centerville, Virginia. Alyssa, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking my call.
Oh, sure.
I want to ask you, why do you think that article on the Kennedys came out just now?
On the Kennedy family and all of their sexual improprieties. Isn't that fascinating? You know, the article starts with the latest episode with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and this woman who's a news reporter. I'm making quotation marks with my fingers. Olivia Nuzzi, right? Olivia, N-U-Z-Z-I. So Nuzzi, Olivia Nuzzi. I like Nuzzi because it's pizza, so it should be Nuzzi. And why is it coming out now? With the naked pictures and the naked videos that she's sending to him because she's just, you know, trying to get ahead in the news business and beyond. But why is it coming out now? Now, I have a hypothesis, and I bet my hypothesis is probably the same thing that you think. Why do you think this is coming out now, Alyssa?
30 days before an election where RFK Jr. endorsed Donald Trump.
I think you're on to them.
Might have something to do with it.
Yeah, I think you're on it. And he crossed the Democrat Party, and so the Democrat Party, including his own family, they want to steamroll him. They want to crush him. They want to roll over him. They want to destroy him, because that's what they do when someone crosses the party, right?
Right. So I would not be promoting that story personally or putting it out. I would, because it just helps to enhance their vendetta against anybody who supports Donald Trump, right?
I like it. You know, I got to tell you, it's the Kennedy family's history that they've buried, that the news media, and in fact, what this article is really about is they call it like the biggest cover-up in American political history, that the news media has known all about this all along, going back to John F. Kennedy being in the Senate and then being in the White House, and Robert F. Kennedy's behavior and Ted Kennedy's behavior, and their father's behavior was the forebearer, the precursor to all of this behavior. And so now that it's time to destroy, you're absolutely right, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., because he came out in favor of President Trump. Now they're going to reveal one of the big lies, one of the big cover-ups, and as I like to say, Alyssa, the most insidious power the media has is the power to ignore. And they've been ignoring this Democrat Party story for generations now, for more than a half a century. And now, you're absolutely right, now they're out to get RFK Jr. because he stopped singing from the sheet music. And when somebody stops singing from the sheet music, they go after you, they go after your businesses, they go after your marriage, which they've done here with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and now the media is going after his family history, which is history that should have been well known already. I mean, you may, in fact, be aware of a lot of this stuff. I started the article today. It's a long article, and it gets into some gruesome and graphic detail about the hijinks and the antics and the White House staffers, the young women, and Marilyn Monroe and Bobby Kennedy, the senior, with Marilyn Monroe the night before she was found dead. And it gets into all this stuff that everybody should know about, because the real history of the Kennedy family should be well known. But we have a news media and academia that has buried the truth about the Kennedy family. And look, I've got no personal problem with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I'm glad that he endorsed President Trump. But this is about the Democrat Party's destructo machine, as far as I'm concerned. And that's kind of a macro lie that we've all been fed for generations. So I think on that level, it's worth putting out there.
Okay, well, I think this fits right in with their, attempting to disparage RFK Jr. and Elon Musk and anybody else who, crosses the line to.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that.
Soon to be President Trump.
I don't think you're wrong at all. I think you're right. But I also think that the macro lie should be exposed. And when they do it, just because they're destroying people inside their own tent and inside the Kennedy family, which is a first, I see it as a bit of a double-edged sword, because this is information that everyone should be aware of, because the Democrats have been like this for a long, long time, and they've been getting away with it for a long, long time. And the reason they get it, and the abuses, the sexual abuses of women in the Democrat Party, a long and storied history, but buried by academia and the news media. And so I think if it's the truth coming out, and it is, then I'm, I've got to say, well, I'll take the truth. And again, the most insidious power the media has the power to ignore. They've been ignoring this forever. And when it comes out, I'll take a whack at it. And I don't think Robert F. Kennedy backing President Trump is going to do a lot for President Trump. quite honestly. I think it's good that Kennedy has come out in favor of him. And then again, this woman, Olivia Nuzzi, immediately finds herself in the middle of a sexual imbroglio involving RFK Jr. And, it's also sordid and tawdry and manufactured. But as long as we put it in that context, I think it is right and appropriate to bring it out into the light of day. That doesn't mean you have to agree with me on that, because in America, we get to have our own opinions, Alyssa.
Right. So I'm glad we had this conversation, and now I need to get back to praying about the election.
Yes, yeah, I'm signing the cross right now. Alyssa, thank you very much. And listen, I got to tell you, I'm really concerned about, and I've said it before, and I try not to make too much out of it, but our last caller, Gene, was talking about going to the upcoming Trump rally, which he's going to have it at the same location in Butler, Pennsylvania, where he was shot through the ear by a Democrat whack job with bleached blonde hair who had a lot of issues himself. President Trump going back to the same location, October 5th, 1 month before Election Day, to have another rally in the same place. And, I'm very concerned about his security, about Donald Trump's security, President Trump's security, and his safety, as I know a great many people are. And I'm concerned that he is not in less danger now after. And how many assassination attempts are there? There's Butler, Pennsylvania. There's West Palm Beach, Florida. There's the Iranian threat sending, and the Pakistani man who is in jail in New York right now, who appeared in court in New York just over a week ago. And then the new, refreshed Iranian threat. And then you got the Democrats hanging a giant naked Donald Trump in effigy in the desert of Nevada outside of Las Vegas, where a madman sniper opened fire on a country music concert, and one of the worst mass murders in the history of the country. I'm very concerned about the state of everything in our country right now, and I know everybody else is too. And what the Democrats, the left of violent criminal enterprise, honestly, what they're going to do when President Trump wins on Election Day, and they go crazy and contest everything in every state and drag everything into the courts, and they'll be burning and sacking and looting and plundering. And it's it's something we've got to stand up to in order to stand up for what is good and what is right, and that is the United States of America. Wah, wah, wah. Man, so we've got a lot to get to. Let's go to. We've got the Middle East, and Joe Biden's got that all wrong too. Also, keep this in mind, because this is important to remember. A poll came out. When was this now? The story was September 19th, so not 2 weeks ago. 28% of Democrats say U.S. better off if Trump were assassinated. 28% of Democrats in a poll said that the country would be better off if Donald Trump had been assassinated. This is after, of course, more than a quarter of Democrats in a new poll. This is the Political Insider's version of the story of the poll. More than a quarter of Democrats in a new poll said America would be better off if former President Donald Trump had been killed in Sunday's assassination attempt. That's according to a poll of 1,000 registered voters taken after authorities on Sunday spotted a man armed with an assault rifle. This is the second assassination attempt, and a scope hiding in the bushes near Trump's West Palm Beach golf course while the former president played. And Ryan Wesley Ruth, a 58-year-old Democrat, had been able to hide for several hours just outside the course. Authorities said Ruth pointed the barrel of his rifle and the scope through a chain-link fence toward the golf course was spotted by a Secret Service agent who fired his pistol, his firearm, at Ruth. The suspect was arrested after fleeing the scene, thanks to a citizen who shot photographs of Ruth, saw Ruth running out of the bushes. There had been shots fired right there. A passerby whipped out probably the cell phone camera and shot pictures of the car and the license plate, which led to the speedy arrest of Ruth. Isn't that amazing? Wah, wah, wah. Now, the Democrats, not only did a huge number of them say that President Trump should have been assassinated because we'd all be better off, they're a bloodthirsty gang. It's why they love Hamas and Hezbollah and hate Israel. 28% say we'd be better off. But there is another horror hiding in this poll, and that is another enormous percentage, another enormous slice of the Democrat pie said that they just didn't want to answer the question. And when you know that this is how 28% of them feel, and another like 20% don't want to answer the question, that means that they would answer, yes, we'd be better off. You wouldn't say, well, I don't want to answer the question. If the answer is no, we wouldn't be better off, then you'd answer the question. But isn't that amazing? The Democrat Party. So the poll from Scott Rasmussen and the Napolitan News Institute just asked, while it is always difficult to wish ill of another human being, comma, would America be better off if Donald Trump had been killed last weekend? And overall, 17% of Americans said yes, 69% of us said no. The remaining 14% said they're not sure. That's the other 14% of Democrats that wanted to say yes. Among Democrats surveyed, 28% said yes. So you can go ahead and add that 14% that said they're not sure to the 28%, right? And now you've got 42% of Democrats that really that's the hidden number in there, and it's not very well hidden. It's and Scott Rasmussen said, the pollster said, it's hard to imagine a greater threat to democracy than expressing a desire to have your political opponent murdered. Yeah, I think that's probably fair to say, but that's kind of a big deal, and maybe it's got a little something to do with the fact that young voters are turning conservative, 18 to 24-year-olds. Now, 26% identify as conservative and 22% identify as liberal. Might have something to do with what they're being raised on. Am I right? Yes, sir. Did you see that Google, the people at Google, they're Democrats, you know. Google buries Donald Trump campaign website under hit pieces. The Washington Times had the story, your newspaper of record. When you go do a Google search, the Google people are so corrupt because they're lefties, Democrats, that they hide Donald Trump's website and pack your search with anti-Trump stories. At the same time, if you Google Kamala Harris, all of the flowery, happy stuff comes up on top of your page because there are 10,000 ways to lie in the naked city, and the Democrats know every one of them. Every young voter should vote for change, vote for freedom, for truth, justice, and the American way. Vote Trump. We're at 888-630-9625. All right, let's go to the telephones once again. Talk to the nice people, the great American people. Let's go to Ellie calling from Frederick, Maryland. Ellie, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, it's so nice to be able to talk to you. I listen to you every day, and I'm so glad that you bring all this stuff up. I was wondering why you haven't seen either the president or the basically Biden, why he hasn't been down to where they've had the big floods down in Virginia. It just doesn't make any, Asheville. they made a big deal when it came time for New Orleans and everything, but Asheville has just been destroyed, and I haven't seen anybody go down there and talk to them or anything.
Well, you're right. Now, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are otherwise. Joe Biden is, brain damaged, and he's not doing anything or saying anything. And you ask him about Yemen, and he responds with an answer about the longshoreman strike. Kamala is pretending to campaign. We're really in a bad place. And you're right, Asheville, North Carolina has experienced a Katrina-like catastrophe. And Joe Biden should go down and throw a roll of paper towels so the news media can praise him for that. Now, I believe, Ellie, that they're talking about sending one of the dimwits down there later this week. And when it's Democrats in charge, Ellie, they always say, well, we don't want to take away resources and distract the local authorities from that. That's what they always say when Democrats are in charge. When Republicans are in charge, the news media pounds the table and say, "Why aren't you doing something?" And that's what they do, right?
Yeah, but I think that even if Trump would go down there, just to let the people know he really does think about them, and I know he does. So, but that was what I wanted to say. I do appreciate being able to talk to you today.
You bet. That's why we're here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ellie. And you know what? President Trump may end up going down there before he's done this in the past. He may end up going down there before Joe Biden and Kamala Harris get down there. I recall a massive chemical train derailment catastrophe. And Ellie, where's Pete Buttigieg? We have this looming longshoreman strike that may kick in at midnight tonight. I don't see any urgent negotiations going on. There's no sense of urgency. It would be a massive supply chain crisis in the United States of America. Pete Buttigieg, I think, is he still on paternity leave? Is he at home chest feeding or something like that? Democrats are mental.